Hello, everyone, and welcome to Zeus Backstage. My name is Zeus, and today I am backstage with Brandon. How's it going, man?
Good. How's everything?
Yeah, not bad here, thank you. If you're new to the channel, guys, please give us a like and a subscribe. It would really help the channel out in the algorithm. And we have a lot to talk about. We are recording this on Saturday, the 28th of March. So Smackdown just happened, and I think we are going to start there. Um, Before we get into the nitty gritty, what did you think of Smackdown as a whole?
I thought the show was lackluster. I didn't think that, it was the right show to have leading into Mania. It seemed all over the place, and a lot of the talents seemed to just be phoning it in, and they weren't really,
Yeah.
digging their heels in for Mania in 3 weeks.
Um, and especially with the Randy and Cody thing, because I was one of those people that I was really excited about Randy and Cody when it first started, and a lot of people were not because they didn't like Cody. But I think last night, and I think we spoke about this earlier on social media, it's been 2 weeks since the attack happened on Cody,
Right.
and that's now two full SmackDowns where we haven't had any kind of verbal contact between the two. And I was hoping that they would explore their history together, the long history they have. And I feel like Matt Cardona, Jelly Roll being involved in this regularly is actually subtracting from it. I don't know what you think.
The Cardona thing, if it's the next just for like last week and this week to give someone for Orton to beat down, I'm okay with that. If you're gonna have Cardona continuously be in this now, then that's a negative for me. The
Yeah.
Jelly Roll thing, I'm actually more for than against because there's actual connective tissue when it comes to the narrative
Okay.
between Jelly Roll, the WWE character, and Randy Orton, dating back all the way to the summer.
Hmm.
So I'm not against Jelly Roll. I don't want him to pull a Travis Scott,
That's what
during
I thought.
during WrestleMania. But if we're seeing Randy going full heel, because I feel like even though he attacked Cody, I feel like it wasn't the full heel turn. And I think we're actually slowly seeing Randy turn back to the real Viper.
Hmm.
And the RKO on Jelly Roll was part of that last night.
Yeah.
So, if Jelly Roll is being some sort of connective tissue between babyface Randy from the summer and this new heel version, I'm okay with it. As long as he doesn't do like, come down in the middle and hit freaking Randy with a guitar during the match, I'm okay with it. And I see a lot of people with the whole celebrity thing, but, you know, I put Jelly Roll at this point almost in the same category as a Bad Bunny.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's a celebrity, but he's also a celebrity that's putting the work in. He's not coming in just for a payday. We saw the Unreal episode with Jelly Roll, how he was living in Florida, how he was cleaning mats. He was the best he could, earning his stripes with
Yeah.
WWE. So, he had his first singles match last night, which wasn't horrible. Let's be
No, it
real.
wasn't. It wasn't as bad as I
You know,
thought it was going to be, considering who was
right.
involved.
Yeah. So, I get people like to slam and dunk on WWE for the whole, celebrity thing and relying on celebrities. But I'm sorry, we're coming up on 42 years of WrestleMania. When have celebrities not been a part of WrestleMania?
Since WrestleMania 1. You know what I mean?
Exactly. They're like literally Billy Martin, Liberace, it's
Cindy
Mr.
Lauper.
T. Mr. T was in the main event. He
Yeah.
was literally, I mean, like they've literally
Lawrence
had
Taylor.
but they've literally had celebrities since day one of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So why are we really shocked that there's a celebrity, being involved with WrestleMania or at least the road to WrestleMania? And
Hmm.
again, this is a guy who actually respects the business. He's busted his ass. He's lost 200 pounds. He was adamant about not going over, which most celebrities go over when they get those matches.
Yeah.
And at SummerSlam, he was insistent on losing. So I don't know why there's so much Jelly Roll hate.
Hmm.
I'm not expecting him to come in and be Ric Flair.
No.
So, anyone who thinks that, he's going to come in and, but you can't shit on the guy for, living his dream, doing something for his son, because we saw his son last night.
Hmm.
And again, if he's the connective tissue to get Randy from point A to point B, I'm okay with it. So I'm not mad at Jelly Roll being involved. I just didn't think you needed 5 segments with Jelly Roll last
Yeah,
night.
I mean, I think Jelly Roll has been a breath of fresh air because he's also a great promo as well. And when
Right.
he talks, you can really tell that he's into it. And like you say, he gets it. But I
Yeah.
thought he was a bit overexposed, and I'm fine with him being involved, like you said, as like the connective tissue. But also, like you said, we don't want to get to a Travis Scott stage where he's deciding the main event, at
Right, right.
WrestleMania.
That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying. As long as he doesn't come down with a guitar and hit Randy over the head, like
Yeah.
last night was the RKO to Jelly Roll. Now that should be it for Jelly Roll with when it comes to the main event.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You do a backstage promo between him and Cody, and him like telling him that he like giving his support to Cody now that Randy turned on him. But that should be it. I just didn't understand why we had so much Jelly Roll on the show. I
Yeah. I
mean,
mean,
he
I don't
wasn't
think
needed. He wasn't needed in the Rhea segment. It really
exactly
did
that. Yeah.
nothing. Obviously he's going to come out for the Kit Wilson match, obviously. And, he should have just then ran out at the main event. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, Cody was coming out during the commercial, so I didn't hear what Jelly Roll was saying to Cody during the commercial. They had it for the US, they had it picture in picture, but you couldn't hear the audio.
You couldn't hear it for us either. I watched it on
Okay.
Netflix, and it was still kind of muted in terms of what
Okay.
he was saying. So
So again, you didn't need him there either.
no.
And then we still have who was Randy on the phone with. There's also that. So that should be now we're 3 weeks away.
Three
So
SmackDowns
what is
left,
it?
yeah.
2 more SmackDowns or three?
Three more, I think. Yeah,
Okay, so
three more.
now we should push away from the Jelly Roll stuff, and we should concentrate on who's the guy on the phone. Who
Yeah.
is Randy talking to? Who is telling Randy that he is reminding him of who he is?
And we're both in agreement that we think it's his father. Am I right?
It's what I've said from the
Yeah.
start.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
I I don't think it's Ted DiBiase Jr.
Imagine that.
I mean they could pivot to that now that
Now
he's
they could.
innocent,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's who it originally was because they had no clue he was going to be innocent.
No. No.
So
They don't have that much pull,
uh,
unfortunately.
and I really don't need it becoming a legacy 3-way. Even if even though Ted DiBiase Jr. is not going to be in a match, I don't. They really haven't mentioned legacy at all. So it's kind of just would be like weird to have him just show up.
Yeah.
If it's not Bob Jr., the only one that makes sense is Arn Anderson.
Yeah. He's close to Cody.
Again, like with Jelly Roll, there's that connective tissue, and Arn has history, long history with Cody.
Yeah.
So that's the only one that makes sense otherwise. If you're not going to have Bob Jr., I guess he's in his 80s, so we don't want him, coming out not looking TV ready.
Taking a crossroads.
But you know what the interesting thing is? For shits and giggles, I was on WWEshop.com last night.
Yeah.
I haven't been on there forever. I was just like looking at t-shirts. Off topic, WWE merchandise has dropped so
Yeah.
bad.
Since this stuff.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, at the top of the screen, it had like bubbles with like superstars, and right in the center was Bob Orton Jr.
Oh, really?
So I found that
That's
to be
interesting.
quite. You're right. I'm saying I find that to be very interesting. That why would he, all of a sudden, even if there's like an algorithm, why would he be there amongst all the top stars? So
That's interesting. And I think one of the things I wanted to mention as well was the crowd reaction to Randy Orton has been a topic of discussion since he quote unquote turned heel. He's one of those heels where the crowd don't judge their reaction on the character; they judge their reaction on the person. Because it's Randy
right,
Orton, he's going to get cheered no matter what he does. And it feels
exactly.
like they've tried it with Cody, it didn't work. They've tried it with Matt Cardona, it didn't work. Even when he did it to Jelly Roll last night, they were chanting Randy's name. And it's kind of like, does he need to like drown a puppy in the middle of the ring to kind of get heat at the moment? So I don't really know how this is going to work dynamic wise when we get to the main event of night one, when the match kicks off. I think it's not going to look very good for Cody.
Cody was getting cheered last night when he was attacking Randy, though.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know how they're going to go about this because, like you
Yeah.
said, Randy's been getting the one more time, and he's getting these, people want him to be Randy. And
Yeah.
it reminds me of Ric Flair towards
Hmm.
the end of WCW, even in WWE. He came to a point where it didn't matter if he was playing the heel or the face, he still is Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Randy Orton is Randy Orton. So, it's at a point that, I don't think he's going to get those boos. I also don't know if this is going to be a full heel turn for Randy. Let's assume Cody, for sake of argument, retains the title.
Yeah.
I really feel this is similar, and I've said this, I don't know if it was in your spaces or other spaces, that this is very similar to Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan in
Yeah.
2005.
Hmm.
It's for the match, but it's not Randy being a full heel. I just don't feel, I feel if they keep the title off Randy, it's not Randy going to be heel going forward, unless they're going to continue the program with Cody past WrestleMania.
Yeah, because he's made it quite. The way they've done this angle is that Randy has dropped everything to give into the voices to win number 15. So I feel like if he loses and then just drops it altogether, that would kind of just go against his rationale for doing what he's done to Cody in the first place. So I'm hoping
Which we
they kind
still,
of.
which we still haven't gotten like a real full explanation.
No, we can just piece together that he didn't mean it to be Cody. He was assuming it would be Drew. He'd made his mind up at that point what he was going to do, and Cody was just a roadblock,
Right.
which I guess doesn't really generate much heat between the two because it's not personal towards Cody, if that makes sense. He's just in the way. And that's kind of how I felt about John Cena's heel turn last year, where he kind of turned heel on the fans and he wanted number 17 and Cody was just in the way. And that's why I was hoping that we would get something tonight where we would have a back and forth between the two. And I didn't really think much of the brawl either they had. I think there was just too much
It was,
security interruption and nothing really got going.
is it me or does, and not just last night, but in general, does everything look soft?
Yeah. And
Like,
repetitive.
not, but in WWE, I'm talking like punches, kicks, everything just looks soft.
Hmm.
There's no
Yeah.
like snuff behind it. There's nothing. I mean, the closest thing, I mean, I won't say the Drew and the Jacob stuff looked, snuff. But like everything else, like even the matches, the stuff with like Rhea and Jade, it all comes off just looking very soft. Like they're
Yeah.
afraid to hit each other.
I think we had a lot of that last night on SmackDown. That Tiffany Julia match last night was really, really bad. Like that looked like it was going in slow motion from start to finish. I don't know what was going on there.
And that
But I
and
know what you
that falls
mean.
on and that falls on Tiffany.
Yeah. Because
I
we know
because
Julia's a hard hitter.
yeah. But like even that Swanton was like looked really bad and looked like she almost didn't make the rotation
Yep.
and could have gone really bad. But I was actually surprised that Julia won the match.
So was I. It's a
Because
big
I
win
thought,
for her. Like, hug her by
right,
Crick is a big win.
like why if unless they pulled an audible, why change it from non-title from title to non-title if Julia was winning anyway?
Yeah. I have no idea what happened there.
I hate when they do that. I hate when they make a match non-title and they're gonna have the champion win anyway.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like it's freaking someone low on the card. It's not Mishin or B-Fab against Julia that, shouldn't get a title match. It's Tiffany. She held the title for like 10 months last year. She should be in line for a title match. So I'm wondering if there was some sort of audible because we thought it's going to be Julia and Tiffany at Mania.
Hmm.
But now it's like, okay, there's no reason for Tiffany to have that match. She lost
No.
clean.
And like we're 3 weeks away, and
Yeah.
Julia as United States champion has not been good twice now. And this title in general, I just think has been a disaster from inception. It had some entertainment value when Chelsea was champion, but in terms of the prestige of the title, I think she got pinned 8 times in non-title matches while holding that belt, Chelsea Green. And the title itself, ever since it's been born, has just been an absolute failure for me compared to the IC Women's. And now we're 3 weeks out. Julia's pinned who we thought was going to be her challenger. And there's nobody else on that SmackDown roster who can step up to Julia for that title. So I'm worried it'll even make the card at all at this point.
I mean, they're saying 5 or 6 women's matches. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that would be the 5 titles
Yep.
because we got the 2 main and then the 2 mid card and then the tag
Yep.
and then the Io, Asuka, Kyrie, whatever that's going to end up being.
Yeah. That would make
So,
sense.
and we've got 8 officially announced so far. So we still have another 8 matches for the entire weekend.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to make the card. I think they're somehow going to get to Tiffany against Julia. But I think part of the problem is that no one is over enough
No.
who are holding those titles.
No. I don't know what's
And
going wrong with Julia.
and for some reason she's not connecting to the audience. There's
Nope.
no connection. I think a lot of that reasoning also is no house shows. And
Yeah.
I know you saw the Maven stuff that he posted. The one thing he brought up that I did agree with is the fact that, they don't get the reps in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no house shows that you're still connecting with your audience. Because despite the fact that you're on TV and you have these, people, 12,000 people coming in for like a Smackdown, these are the same people that would be paying less to go to a house show where it's a little more intimate. So I think that's part of lack of connection. You're not seeing a personality. And I think that's part with Stephanie too. Stephanie Becerra.
Yeah.
Like, she's good in the ring. She gets a reaction, not so much that they changed her music, but I don't feel her personality is connected with the audience.
No, I think
So,
she's connected with the audience through the Devil's Kiss for one.
right.
And Booker T helped with that. But I agree with house shows because we've seen clips of house shows of wrestlers really letting out their personality, like Undertaker when he's on the rope stamping, running up and down, Triple H overselling that bump for like 5 minutes, just kind of swirling and stuff. And
The,
they have a
the,
lot
the
of fun.
spinaroonies and,
Yeah, yeah, they have a lot of fun on house shows because there's no TV. And I
right.
agree that that's a good way to build somebody momentum wise, connection wise, like a Julia, especially when if there's a language barrier, it makes it even harder, obviously. And that's why she's got Kiana James. But as good as I think Kiana James is as a talker, I don't think that's helping either. And I think Kiana's probably going to end up being more over than Julia as a result.
I mean, the only other option I could see them doing for the U.S. title is hot shotting Kiana, turning on Julia
Yeah.
and doing Julia and Kiana.
Or with Jordan Grace. Where's Jordan Grace? We haven't seen her
She
for a
she
while.
hurt she hurt her ankle
He's hurt.
during a yeah, she 2 or 3 weeks ago she was shooting main event
Mm-hmm.
and she landed wrong and she busted her ankle up, almost similar to Chelsea Green.
Yeah.
So that's why she's been off TV.
Yeah. They're really struggling
What
down there for talent.
Well, let's go to the other title on SmackDown. What did you think of the Jade and Rhea segment?
This was a car crash for me. The amount of over talking in this segment between all four, it was just like there was no production for this segment. Like the shouting between them, B-Fab, Meechin, Jade over talking. This was bad, man. I did not like this. I've said the last couple of weeks that I don't think this feud's going anywhere, but we'll give it time. And it's just becoming less and less interesting for me personally. I don't know what you thought.
The over the over talking to me when they were going back and forth felt more realistic. Only because
Hmm.
when you're arguing with someone, you're not going to wait for them to finish what they're saying. You're going to try to interrupt them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get what you
So so
mean.
th- so that part felt more realistic, but I saw someone mention this on Twitter today and I kind of agree. Rhea's not into this.
I don't think
She
so.
is she's not putting her all into this. We've seen, like, look at the difference how she acted around Damian Priest backstage and then how she acted when she was out there. It was like completely different.
Do you know who it reminded me of? The way she was like responding to what the heels were saying. It reminded
Charlotte?
me of Britt Baker. Nobody cares. It
Oh,
reminded
yeah.
me of that. That's how I feel. It feels like complete apathy on Rhea Ripley's part.
So I kind of am leaning towards the people saying that, Rhea felt a certain way and took to heart the back and forth exchange on Twitter between the two a couple
Hmm.
weeks ago. And she's doing what she has to do, but she doesn't really want to do it. So I think Rhea's dropping the ball on this, and I'm a Rhea fan, but there's only so much you're going to get out of Jade Cargill. There's
Yeah.
only so much you're going to get out of BFAT. There's only so much you're going to get out of Mishin. You know, So it's up to Rhea as, that veteran to kind of pick up the slack. And it just feels like she's either intentionally sandbagging
Hmm.
because she doesn't care, or she's just not taking it serious.
And there's no real heat with this feud either. I get it's one of
Yeah.
those where Rhea won the chamber, therefore she has to face Jade, and they have to manufacture something out somewhere. But I was excited going into this because of the social media drama. And I was hoping that they would use it, and nothing's come of it whatsoever. They've not referenced a single
Yeah.
thing. And it's just been really disappointing. And I get what you're saying about the over talking being natural, but what I didn't like was the over talking between the heels themselves. When B-Fab saying something and then Michin's kind of shouting over her and stuff is it just came across as just really poorly produced.
Yeah, a couple of chihuahuas barking
Yeah.
at Jade's heels, as
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
walking her
exactly. Yeah.
dogs. As
Yeah,
she's walking
yeah.
her dogs. I mean, yeah, Jade should have been the main focus, and then you had the other two chiming in, and they should have taken their turns. But what I was talking more was when Rhea was trying to go back and forth with B-Fab, and they were just yelling at each other. To me,
Yeah.
that felt more, that's what you'd be in an argument with someone.
Do you think Jade's
So
retaining at WrestleMania?
I don't know yet. It's hard. Like it's like I like to think about 2 or 3 steps ahead, not just what's going to be happening the Monday after Mania or the SmackDown after Mania, but
Yeah.
where are we going for Backlash? Where are we going for Italy? So it's like if Jade keeps the title, who does she challenge? Who challenges the next? There's like no one. If Rhea keeps the title again, who is she going to? There's no one there. SmackDown is so depleted with the women's division. I feel that no matter who you have there, you're kind of screwed.
They need Bianca. Bianca is the big question mark. I think if Bianca's going to be ready relatively soon, then the plan all along has to have been Jade and Bianca if she hadn't been hurt.
Which right, exact. I mean, that's what they've been playing for
Yeah,
3 years.
And so I heard that Jade has had an update recently where she's had the surgery and she's resuming light training. So
Bianca, you mean Bianca?
Bianca, sorry, yeah. So I think Jade's retaining just on that because I think the plan is Jade and Bianca, and it has to be. And I
I
also
I
think that sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say I could see Bianca returning on TV, the SmackDown after Mania.
Yeah, I think so. Because if Jade loses this, she's defended the title once since she's had it,
Yeah, yeah,
and that was just on SmackDown. This is her first big defense at the biggest show against the biggest star. And, if she loses, the optics of that are really bad. And I think Rhea can take a loss here. She's been in championship matches for 3 or 4 WrestleManias in a row.
right.
And, majority of them have been very good. So I think Jade should win. No, Rhea stands don't want to come for me, but I think Jade should win just for the good of the both of them. Assuming that Bianca is going to be back, and then we can run that feud into Backlash or Italy whenever they decide to do it. But in terms of my excitement for this, based on what we've got on television, this is probably the least exciting match on the card so far.
Agreed. And again, if Bianca's ready to come back and that's the plan, then yeah, it's not gonna hurt Rhea
Hmm.
to get to lose. I feel like they're gonna have outside interference to protect Rhea, just because Rhea's one of the golden children,
Yeah.
you know. But like I said, then where if either one wins, it's like, what do you do next? You're not gonna do babyface Rhea against babyface Bianca.
No.
And you've been building a storyline for 3 years between Bianca and Jade. So that definitely looks like the better play, especially now that Bianca's starting to get back to come back. So yeah, I definitely think that Rhea could afford the loss. She's literally been in title matches every one of her WrestleMania matches.
Yeah. And I'm a big Rhea fan, and I think that what they might end up doing if Rhea loses and Liv Morgan wins at WrestleMania is they might circle back to that. And I know it's been a long time now, but again, like you said, thinking steps ahead, if Rhea loses back on Raw, what is she going to do on Raw? If Liv Morgan's the champion, it's, in kayfabe, it's stupid of her not to approach that again, isn't it? If Liv's the champion.
Right.
So
So
there is a path for her if she loses.
and I just don't think Netflix wants her completely off
Of course.
for
Yeah.
for SmackDown either, because she's still one of the biggest female stars, if not the biggest female star they have.
Yeah, the reason that SmackDown's women's roster is so depleted, I fear, is not by accident. It's because Netflix want all the stars.
Right.
Rhea,
But
Io,
they
Liv.
but to me, SmackDown could very easily replenish that women's division with NXT talent.
Yep.
There's so many women that are down in NXT that are ready to come up, and there's still so many more that are behind them that will fill those voids.
Yep. Well,
That they,
Standard
to
delivers
me,
next weekend.
right?
So we're gonna find out. I think JC Jane's losing to Kendall Gray at Stand and Deliver. I think that's what should
Yeah,
happen. And then
I think
I
that
would
the three of
the
them are
three of
probably
them,
going to
yeah.
come up.
Yeah, because I was saying on my NXT podcast with Gina, like we were talking about Lainey Reed, and I said that Lainey Reed is going to be better off on the main roster with those two than she is in NXT on her own. Because if she's got Fallon and JC with her on the main roster, stick them on SmackDown as like a heel faction, I think she'll be fine because she's with those two. But on
Right.
her own in NXT, leaving her behind with the talent they've got in there, which is way more than SmackDown, I think she'd get lost. So it's actually better for her to be moved up to kind of, you know, keep her momentum with Fatal Influence. So I can see all three of them
Yeah.
getting called up, like you say. Sol and Zarya, they're going one on one. And obviously, Sol Ruka is obviously the biggest, choice to go up from a lot of people. She's a massive addition to anywhere she goes. And yeah, like
Oh,
that's four
well,
straight off the bat.
do you think Zarya is going to go up too?
No, no. I mean, I'm wondering if they're going to do with Sol what they did with Roxanne, which is give her a short heel run in NXT first. And they could easily execute a double turn between Sol and Zarya at Stand and Deliver, because to me, watching NXT, Zarya feels like the babyface and Sol feels like the
Yeah.
heel, and they're
Yeah.
kind of miscast.
Yeah, it's because and the crowd was even reacting to Soul's promo.
Well, Zarya's
You know,
right, and they did this with
yeah,
Drew. They did it with Kevin Owens. This whole justified heel thing WWE loves to
right.
do. So they could do a double turn at Stand and Deliver, and then Sol could have a short heel run, see how she gets on, and they did reveal they were working on a different character for Sol Ruka. So that's what they did with Roxanne, and it seemed to work okay for her. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sol Ruka doesn't get called up straight away. But you're right, NXT has so many women, A, who can get called up, and B, to fill their place once they're gone. But I think SmackDown needs the majority of that influx when it does come. I
Right.
think Fatal Influence would be a good start, as much as they need some faces as well.
Honestly, I would turn. You could even start and turn Chelsea babyface. You could
Oh,
have
he's
that whole.
crying out for it, yeah.
I mean, if you bring Fatal Influence up, you could have someone join. Chelsea and can't remember her name,
Alba Fire.
Alba Fire, and you could definitely integrate that to get them acclimated. And
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you about uh the blonde Lacey. I can't remember
Laney.
her name.
Laney
Laney,
Reed, yeah.
because she will definitely get lost by herself down
Yeah.
there. Whereas while it will be a quick call up, the fact of you're learning on the job might be good for her
Yeah. And
because
JC's
she's
done really well since she's been champion. I think JC's come leaps
yeah.
and bounds.
And it's 6 years. It's shit or get off the pot when it comes to JC Jane.
Yeah. I think she's there now. She's like, there was a lot of
Yeah.
question marks about her and when she beat Stephanie Vaquer, but I think she's done well in this title run. So I think now's the time. It's now or never. She has to get caught up and she has to lose.
Right.
Returning to SmackDown, I want to talk about probably what was maybe the biggest talking point of SmackDown, which was Sami Zayn defeating Carmelo Hayes in the Open Challenge. This was weird, man. I've been trying
Yeah.
I've been all day since I've been trying to think about the rationale behind why they might do this, and I can't help but just think either just make this a non-title match or do Trick and Mello for the title at WrestleMania. Like,
To
what do you
me,
think of this?
I said last night. First off, we all got spoiled by it. It was it was
Yeah,
posted. Why that had to be spoiled? Why it had to be out there. So I kind of mirrored a tweet that Gunther got when his name got changed from Walter. I wrote if the report was true, poor Carmelo.
yeah.
So I hope they pivot and they get make it a three-way at least.
Well, it wasn't
If
clean,
not,
so you'd hope there's an avenue for that because it
right,
wasn't
right.
clean.
So they protected Carmelo in that point because Trick cost him the match.
Yeah.
But if they're going to keep it one-on-one, why are we doing it with Sammy and Trick? I don't think Trick needs the US title. I think he's already above the US title. So why, like you said, why are we not going to just do Sammy versus Trick? Because you're not having Sammy go over on Trick at his first WrestleMania.
No.
So
And sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, so it's like, why'd we put the U.S. title on Sammy? We didn't need him to have the U.S. title to have the match. Carmelo has been busting his ass week after week, doing the open challenges, having the best matches on the show week after week from an in-ring standpoint.
Yeah.
So why are we cutting Carmelo's knees off? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to give it, till next week. Let's see where we go. Hopefully there's a story for Carmelo, because you still have the Ilya stuff. So it could very easily be a 4-way,
Yeah.
but I just don't understand why we have to put the title on Sammy. Sammy's at a point that he's been talking about being world champion, being world champion. So why is he settling for the U.S. title?
I, the thing I thought was interesting about this whole thing was for the last few weeks, I've been a very open detractor of Sami Zayn recently, just because his character work has just been the same for 2 years and it's just the same old shit. And the last few weeks, I've actually been praising him because there's something different emerging about the Sami Zayn we see on TV with the whole Cody and Randy stuff. And he's starting to show signs that, he's changing and he might turn heel and stuff. And then this week he goes and wins the US title. And
Oh, wait, let
he,
me just interrupt real quick on that. He saw Trick do it, and he still
yeah,
took
yeah, yeah,
advantage.
he did. Yeah. So he's
So,
learning.
so,
He's learning.
so that is, leaning towards that whole heel thing. And, really quick off the topic, why are we having Aleister Black play the role of Karrion Kross when you had Karrion Kross?
Honestly, man, it's so funny. It's
It's like they're,
blatant as
they're
well.
little, yeah. And Zelina, why are you dressing like a pirate every week?
I know. I was expecting Aleister Black to cut his hair like Sami Zayn did, like Cross
Like
used
put
to do.
like what is he gonna do? He's gonna put he's gonna put an eye patch in for
Yeah,
that
yeah.
bad eye since they're dressing like pirates. But anyway, but yeah, so Sammy did take advantage of the fact that he saw Mello get involved, and he took advantage to win the title to get to Mania. So he's
Mhm.
starting to be selfish. So we're seeing that, those heel tendencies that he's been teasing. So was this part of the route to get Sammy to being a heel?
Interesting
So,
point.
so there's a lot of things, we're looking at it straight up. I'm trying to be objective about it because, I think Carmelo deserves to get a Mania match.
He does, yeah.
I think he deserves to go in as champion, but I'm also being objective to try to see, like I said, more than, 2 or 3 steps ahead. Did we do it simply to give Sammy the title? Did we do it because we're trying to get this character change and we're seeing, these little beats in Sammy? Are we doing it because we want to put the title on Trick, but we don't want Trick beating Carmelo because we're going to do Carmelo and Trick down the line and go back on their history?
That's
So
what
the
I
like
was thinking.
but they haven't even mentioned their history
I
either, which
know.
is weird. Which is also weird to me because they mention NXT a lot and they bring up NXT. So it's not like I feel like back in the day, like 10 years ago, they wouldn't really mention NXT. Like when people would come up, they wouldn't mention their history. They would kind of almost pretend like NXT was WCW, where it
Well,
did
they
if it
changed their
didn't
name,
happen.
wouldn't they? They'd have
Yeah,
different
yeah,
names when they get called
yeah.
up.
So or different characters, but
Robert Roode.
I mean, Karrion Kross, he came up as a gladiator and lost to Jeff Hardy in 90 seconds as NXT champion.
Oh boy.
But anyway, so I just, I'm trying to not go with my immediate reaction emotion wise. And I want to see where they lead to next week and where they go with the story. Because I know you're kind of like me, you need the story to lead to the match for you to be emotionally invested in a match.
Yeah,
You
ideally,
can't,
yeah.
yeah, you can't just have, a match with no story and then be all into it because, they kick out of all the moves
I think there's a
and they,
place for it sometimes, but if it's surrounded by other things that are really well built story wise, then I can allow for that. Like, WrestleMania 39, where they had that tag team showcase match. Like,
right.
it didn't mean anything long term, but it was fun to watch and it had a nice place on the card. So, yeah, ultimately, I agree with you that something like this, I'm going to need some kind of emotional investment to watch.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's why I'm gonna give it a week. I'm gonna see where it goes. Now, if they totally drop the ball and kind of push Carmelo out of the way altogether to just concentrate on Sammy and Trick, then I'm gonna be like, you know what?
Yeah. That's
You
an
you
L.
kind of you're kind of burying Carmelo here, and I don't like that word because everyone uses it wrong. And same thing with the Hogan thing. I just want to point out
Oh God, yeah. No more Sammy
if
Hogan, please.
you don't know what the Hogan means if you think that Sammy is being a Hogan.
Never won a world
Hulk Hogan.
championship.
Not even about the world championship. Hulk Hogan had backstage influence. He was a politician. He literally had in his contract that he could veto and have creative control. Sammy does not have that. There's always been bookers that have their favorites. We see it with Triple H. We see it with Tony Khan. We saw it with Vince McMahon. We saw it with every promoter every booker that's been running a promotion has always had their favorites and the people they're going to rely on and lean on more because they're the draws. Sammy is to Triple H a draw. He is someone that he relies on. He's been there for over a decade. So it's not that Sammy is pulling influence or even that he even has influence. I see a lot of people saying that Sammy pushed for this. Sammy did not push for this. Sammy didn't say no. He wasn't against it, but I don't think Sammy was like, either I get the US title or I'm out. That
Yeah,
type of
definitely
thing.
not. No, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
So there was no Sammy going, that doesn't work for me, brother.
No.
So
I,
stop using Hogan. You don't know what it means. You guys do it with freaking
Rhea Ripley,
with Rhea. You do
Becky
it.
Lynch.
Becky. Becky has put more people over and built more for everyone else with the IC title this year than ever before. So how are you guys saying this? Yeah. Anyway,
She's the
I
reason
th-
that IC title isn't as bad as the US title at the moment.
at this
Is the
point,
reason.
I would bring Becky to SmackDown, put the US title on her,
Yeah,
let her have it for 6 months and build that up. So at least,
100%.
at least you can kind of be on the same level with these mid card titles.
And then call her Hogan.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I mean, so this started with this all came about because Nick Aldis told Sammy he didn't have a match on WrestleMania. And obviously Sammy saw an opportunity to fix that.
and as soon as I saw that face, I'm like, the reports are true.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Damn it. The spoilers are true.
Especially when they didn't announce that Trick's opponent. He just said, you have a spot at WrestleMania, but you didn't announce who the opponent is.
And then he did straight afterwards.
Yeah. So
we'll see what happens with that. The last thing I want to talk about on SmackDown, unless there's anything else you want to bring up, was Drew and Jacob. I think this was probably my favorite. Drew's promo here is probably my favorite thing on SmackDown last night. Because this probably feels the most real, the most heat between these two. And I still have a problem with it. But last night, they finally made reference to the Jacob attack, which they haven't for a long time. Whereas Drew once again refuted that he did not attack Jacob. And we assume that Jacob's been operating on the level that he has at the moment because he believes Drew attacked him. That's why he got involved in the 3 stages of hell in the first place. But they dropped it for so long. But last night, Drew mentioned, I didn't do it again. So they got an unsanctioned match at WrestleMania. I think that's the right move. I think it's going to be great fun. And I think what they've done has been simple but effective so far. So I did enjoy this. Don't know, how do you feel about it?
It definitely was good. I like the Jacob shirt, the Fatu F around,
Yeah.
I think Jacob's coming to his own. I think the feud with Drew was the right thing to do. I think Drew knew that. I think Drew, believe it or not, cared more about getting Jacob to the next level than actually being champion because he gets it in the business. I think they did the unsanctioned match because they are writing Drew off for a while because he is going to go shoot Highlander. So, I think it gives you more play and more room to play to fight all over the place than Hell in a Cell would if they went with Hell in a Cell because you're kind of limited in the ring. You can do, almost harking back to Goldust and Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 12.
Yeah.
You could start off doing something in the back or in a casino, and work your way into the arena to
Yeah, yeah,
finish it
that'd be
in the
great
ring.
fun.
So, right. So, we see a lot of guys on the, AEW fans love the Anarchy in the Arena matches. So this could be the WWE version between the two guys of just being the Anarchy in the Arena. You could just have it all over the place. They establish the rules. It's only pinfall or submission. There's no count out. There's no disqualification. So you could do the plunder. You can do the gimmicks. So I definitely think this is one of the top matches for the card.
Yeah, I
And,
think so.
and I definitely think Drew is doing some of the best, he in general is one of the best characters WWE has.
He's been my favorite
So,
probably for a good 2 years since that heel turn.
right.
Everything he does is great. The Punk stuff, he's just absolutely nailed that. And they carried that feud together so well, even though Punk was injured for like 6 months.
That
And
was the thing too, to be able to carry a feud, to make it the hottest feud, and you couldn't even have a match for 6 months because the guy's injured.
yeah,
That was all on Drew. Drew carried that.
yeah, it was
So,
great.
so I think Drew is underappreciated by a lot of people in WWE, but at the same time, I also think they know what they have with Drew.
Yeah, and he
I
signed on for a big money deal. He's there for a
Yeah,
while, and
yeah, he's not going anywhere.
I don't want to see people moan that he loses at WrestleMania because he is going to film Highlander and he is in a major role as well. So it is a big part for him. I think he's playing
Right,
like Henry Cavill's brother, Angus MacLeod.
correct.
So Drew's probably going to lose because he's being written off, and that's fine. And then it's all about what happens when he comes back, probably towards the summer.
Yeah, honestly, even if he wasn't leaving, I still would put Jacob over.
Yeah, Jacob's got the kind of future in front of him, hasn't he?
Right, so I think you should put Jacob over no matter what. Even if Drew wasn't leaving, I would have Jacob go over
Yeah.
because you want to build Jacob up to kind of try to catch him up to Braun Breaker, because that's your Austin and your Rock in a couple of years.
Yeah.
That's where you want to build towards. So,
I know
you
Jacob's not a
definitely
young guy. He's not a young guy compared to Braun, but in terms of the trajectory he's on and how they see him, then the age doesn't really matter here. He's new on the
right.
scene. He's really over, and he's got a good few years left. He's not going to be retiring in a couple of years, Jacob.
No,
So it doesn't really matter that he's not the same age as Braun. Um, so I agree. Yeah, I think the trajectory for both of those guys, along with guys like Obafemi and Trick Williams, I think they're going to be the four guys that we look at in a few years as the guys propping up big pay-per-views.
on top of the fact, Drew is Teflon at this point. If Drew
Of course,
lost, it will not hurt him.
no,
I
not at all.
feel I feel that Jacob losing would hurt him more than it would hurt Drew.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else on SmackDown that caught your eye you want to go over?
No,
No.
that was pretty much everything.
All right. Moving backwards chronologically, we talk about Dynamite.
We could talk about Dynamite. To me, Dynamite was a one match show.
The opening match.
The opening match, I didn't think the Kenny match was as good as their previous match.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, I based on the ratings, I don't know why you're gonna maybe take the title off MJF. I think it's a mistake, especially that we're gonna be heading into All In season at the end of August. I'm hoping Kenny puts MJF over, and they're not gonna do that. But, as far as that match goes, it was a good match. I didn't feel it was that good as the first match that Swerve won.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was weird that Swerve lost clean, and then we didn't see Swerve for the rest of the show, but we had like 3 Kenny promos.
Are you surprised this
And
wasn't the main event, or do you think they did it in the opening so they could set up the MJF Omega segment halfway through the show?
oh, that's why I
Yeah.
think, at first, when the match was going on first, I thought they were going to do a time limit draw, and then they were going to go and do a third match at Dynasty.
Right.
Because last week you had Darby Allin say he throwing his hat in the ring that he wants a title match.
Yeah.
So I thought they were going to use Darby in the way that they used Megan Bayne last year with Tony Storm,
Yeah. Yeah.
where it was kind of that gateway to get to the big summer matches, the big summer events.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're going with Kenny and MJF, so that surprised me. But it definitely was to lead into, so you could do that in-ring promo. I don't know why we did a third backstage promo with Speedball with Kenny again.
Speedball
You
calling a
know,
shot.
yeah, it's like I don't get where that's going, why we're doing that. I felt after that opening match, the show just slowly went downhill.
Hmm.
I don't know why we had a 3-minute Speedball match to the point that we had to cut off the main event at the end,
Yeah.
because they just went off the air. But then, you had a lot happen after they went off the air, because you had Brody show up to come out for the save.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to me, it was just ill-timed. But, I can go on about the Death Riders,
I know.
like,
I'm amazed they're still a thing, and now they're heel again after Moxley's
yeah,
been cutting babyface promos for
yeah,
6
and
months,
we
and
still have no explanation. They started the explanation at the pay-per-view. They said that the sins of the past are coming back to haunt Moxley, even though Moxley has been trying to atone for these things. But then
yeah.
he just went straight to being a heel again. And I'm sorry, why are they having the Death Riders having such problems with Top Flight and Zadiah? Why are they need a 15-minute match for them to beat these guys?
Yeah.
Like,
Tony
that's
loves
why
his
a lot of
15-minute matches.
right, which, it's like you got AEW Dynamite, which you have 4 or 5 matches that go 15 to 20 minutes, and then you have WWE that has 6 matches but has is a total of 35 minutes through 3 hours. And it's like there's no in between.
It's the same with
And
pay-per-views, isn't it? Pay-per-views. AEW, you've got 13 matches. WWE, you've got 5. It's like 7 or 8 is perfect for me, personally.
right, like what they're doing for Mania.
Yeah. Like Mania and SummerSlam, I think, are the only pay-per-views where I think each night that is a nice number of matches that I can sit through, as long as they all
Right.
mean something. But I think with AEW, as much as their pay-per-views are largely very good, I always feel like there's 3 or 4 matches they could just cut off and put on Dynamite or Collision.
Right, because especially that they do their shows mostly on Sundays, and
Exactly, yeah.
you're starting the show at 8 o'clock at night.
And I'm in the UK.
Uh,
That's 1
yeah,
a.m. for me.
yeah, you're up till 4 or 5 in the morning watching this if you're actually
Yeah, I'm
watching
I'm
it.
I'm watching Tony Khan's press conference as the postman's outside delivering stuff
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
morning. It's
yeah. So
crazy.
it's like I don't understand why AEW doesn't start earlier.
Mhm.
Like, why not start your shows at 5 in the afternoon?
I feel like they can,
If it,
surely.
yeah,
Like,
we saw them move it for last year for All In,
yeah, yeah,
because Saturday night's main event was there, so
yeah,
they moved it. I just don't know, especially on a Sunday, even in the US. I get it for you guys overseas, but even in the US, you got the show ending at 1 in the morning on a Sunday when people have to get up for work.
yeah. Like 5, 6 in the morning on Monday.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, I don't understand. I get why you don't really do it Saturdays, because you got UFC,
Yeah,
WWE's on there. There's so much different sports and stuff. But you definitely don't need your pay-per-views to go 5 hours. And I
yeah,
know you'll get people say, "Oh, if you love wrestling, you want as much wrestling as possible." There's only so much you can take and so much time you can invest in your day, especially if you have like a life and family. It's like, who wants to sit there for 5 hours straight when you got like so many other things going on?
I think it's
So,
twofold, isn't it? Because I think AEW, obviously, they want to. I mean, the reason they do it, I think, is twofold. One, they want to get as many people on the card as possible for whatever reason. And two, they feel like it's value for money because they're still charging 40, $50 for a pay-per-view in the
right.
US. So I guess Tony feels that if I'm charging that much money, I'm going to fill the card. But, I would happily pay that much money for a shorter card that's more engaging. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I feel, obviously it's different because I'm in the UK, but I feel fatigued when I'm watching an AEW pay-per-view sometimes. And like I say, most of them I come out feeling very good, but I always feel there's like 3 or 4 I could just, you know, not have done with, and they would have been the perfect show. But I'm
Which
I'm sure
which
that's
I
how that's
felt
that's why he does it.
which is what I felt for Revolution.
Mhm.
There were 3 or 4 matches that did not need to be on that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But,
And all the
like you
matches
said,
that
yeah,
mattered were good. It was a good
right.
show overall.
And Tony did, he does like to give you the money's worth, and that's why he does it. It's, he wants to give you more bang for the buck. So I get that part. I get like wanting to give your audience what a value for what they're paying for. But at some point, you gotta understand you're not going to get everyone on the card all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the circle back to WrestleMania. I feel that's something that a lot of people are thinking that everyone needs to get on the card. Not every WrestleMania is supposed to be like getting to the Super Bowl. It's
Special.
supposed to, right. If you did not earn your keep for the last year, you should not be getting onto that. Not everyone plays in the All-Star game for baseball or the Pro Bowl for football.
Yeah.
You should not be on WrestleMania just to be on WrestleMania.
No,
I'm
absolutely not.
sorry.
It's
So
just
I think that
it's not a participation trophy, is it? It shouldn't
right,
be.
and I think that's what a lot of fans look at it as, is that, oh, this guy deserves to be on WrestleMania. He deserves to be on WrestleMania. What has he done all year to deserve to be on WrestleMania?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, going back to the main event scene in AEW Dynamite this week, I agree with you. I think MJF should retain. I think there's two ways Tony could go with this, and that's MJF beat Kenny, and then MJF Darby Allin at Double or Nothing. Will Ospreay wins the Owen Hart, and then do MJF and Ospreay all in London. Perfect. Do you think that Tony is slightly salivating at Ospreay versus Omega or all in doing that again?
oh, without a doubt. And that's why I'm worried about MJF.
Yeah.
That's why I'm worried about MJF, because we know what a market, and I don't mean to, I'm not trying to say this derogatory about Tony Khan, but we know what a New Japan mark he is. To
Yeah.
do, I mean, without a doubt, Osprey's winning the Owen. That is
100%.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like that goes without saying.
He's winning the
The
title
question,
all in, whoever's champion.
right. There's no way you're gonna rush him back, and I feel they rushed him back. I'm not gonna. Let's be real, to get him there because of All In.
Mm-hmm.
The question is what MJF versus Osprey would be a better story, but maybe the better match would be Omega versus Osprey.
Yeah.
But this also isn't the same Kenny Omega from 7 years ago.
No.
He's got a lot of miles on him, and he's coming towards the end. So, and
The
then you
reason
got
I
to
bring
look.
it up, the reason I bring it up is because you saw how the Omega Okada thing came together last year.
Right.
And that's Tony wanting to do that on his own product. And I know that
Right.
we had Osprey and Omega at Forbidden Door in 2021, I want to say, 2022.
But that was before him, and that was before Osprey was part of the company.
Yeah, so Tony hasn't yet done Osprey versus Omega when everything is on his soil, in his control.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think he's got to be tempted to do that. And that's why, I mean, in a way, it makes, if you think about that, it makes MJF versus Omega unpredictable, which I guess is a good thing. But I agree with you. I think this better story is MJF and Osprey because A, their history, and B, the moment of Osprey beating MJF in London to win the title for the first time would just be a great moment.
Right. But then, as you say, like, is that a worthy enough match for Double or Nothing to do, MJF against Darby Allin?
I don't know.
Because
I mean, he put,
would that be the main event? Because usually Double or Nothing, they do Anarchy in the Arena.
yeah.
So does Anarchy in the Arena become the main event? And then, since it'll be lower on the card, you could say, okay, you could do MJF against Darby Allin.
Do they have anything in between? They have Forbidden Door, the before All In this year.
Forbidden, it should be, because
it
that
was
should be
flipped
in
last year,
July.
wasn't it? Yeah, it was flipped
Yeah,
last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, that should be in July,
Yeah.
because it's the end of August is All In London. So
Yeah.
you got Dynasty, which is April. May
Double or
you got
Nothing
Double
May.
or Nothing in New York City. What's in
Nothing.
June?
Nothing in June, I don't think.
They don't have any pay-per-view in June?
I don't
Then
think
they
so.
would
I
have,
think they probably do something at the end of May, and then Forbidden Door were like beginning of July, so it's like just over a month crossover, maybe.
at this point, should we just rename it? Forbidden Door kind of is out the door.
Yeah.
I mean, who
Who's
we
left?
having coming out?
Yeah.
Right.
Who's left?
Who's coming from New Japan? Who's the big dream matches from New Japan that are going to come over now? We're gonna bring Zack Sabre Jr. back in, and Tony's got everyone else. I mean, there's
Yeah.
really no one else.
He's
So
got Gabe Kidd. He's got David Finlay now. I mean, I'm not a big New Japan guy. Who else? Who is the current big top guy in New Japan now that?
no one.
Yeah,
I that's what I'm saying. A lot of people are saying like, oh, Tony respects New Japan and stuff like that. And I'm still, and I know he didn't just outright, steal everyone because contracts ended. New Japan couldn't pay, but let's call it what it is. Tony did outbid New Japan to steal all these guys.
that's
You
business.
know,
Unfortunately, that's just how it goes.
yeah. I mean,
You're right.
Vince did it with the AWA.
Yeah,
So, it's not that Tony's the bad guy for it, but New Japan is a shell of what it was. So
he,
unless your Forbidden Door is going to be CMLL versus
that's what I was going to
AEW.
say. That's what I was going to say. There has to be some heavy CMLL involvement. Um, you know, they got guys like Hechicero, who I always enjoy a Hechicero cameo just because I
Yeah.
think he's quite unique in the ring. But I think Forbidden Door in general, the concept, yeah, a bit like Money in the Bank for me. The concept feels a bit spent, and I feel like it doesn't need to be a thing every year going forward. Because I thought it was great back when you had like the Omega Osprey match, and there was some stars in New Japan that everybody knew. I think nowadays it's probably not needed every year, but I think they'll still probably run it this year. Has it been
On
announced
top
this
of the,
year?
no, I don't think so. But on top of the fact, just because at the beginning it was like, oh, we're getting a crossover between one promotion and the other.
It was great.
But then you were doing it every other week on Dynamite.
Yeah.
And you got Ishii, who's literally like part of the conglomeration. Yeah. So it's like when you start doing it's almost like blood with AEW. When you start doing it all the time, it loses its luster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Too much of
and I'm
anything's
gonna
bad for you.
I'm gonna segue that into the main event segment of Raw. When it
All
comes
right.
to blood, I think that's a mistake that they didn't use blood on CM Punk this week.
Yeah.
That he didn't have juice. He was wearing that white sweatshirt. He was rammed into the pole. I mean, it was he got put through the table by Roman. Can you imagine him sitting up laughing while he was in the crimson mask with the blood all over his white shirt, saying that I got him, I got him. I think that would have been so much more of especially in a video package, my way or the highway.
Yeah.
Let's do
Yeah. Yeah.
the WrestleMania 17 video package that apparently was that's what led, everything to be a great build up for WrestleMania 17 was
Apparently,
a
yeah.
video, well, it was a video package someone said to you today. But like,
Oh God, we'll talk about that in a second.
yeah, but like, that could have been such an image to have a bloodied Punk. I feel that was an opportunity that they should have done.
I agree. I think it was. We'll get on to Raw in a second, but I agree. I think that's a massive missed opportunity, and it's such a simple fix as well. It was there,
Yeah.
and yeah, I guess we'll see. Rest of Dynamite. Thekla wrestled Mina Shirakawa for the AEW Women's World Championship. This kind of division has gone a bit up in the air. Now Tony Storm is absent for the foreseeable future.
Right.
Where do you see the direction for this championship? I think Thekla's done a pretty good job. I think she's been quite good
I
on
like
her own.
Thekla.
Yeah,
I mean, at this point, you got to bring Mercedes back as a babyface. That's got
I
to be
think
the
so.
play for All In.
Mhm.
Is Thekla against Tony, because on that Sasha or Mercedes,
Yeah,
because there's just who else do you have that's on that level for a WrestleMania caliber match?
it feels like it's
It
just been Mercedes or Tony for a long time
well, it
in
was
terms
supposed
of the stars. Yeah,
well, it was gonna be Tony Mercedes too,
yeah.
but
Oh,
now
you think?
Tony is out. Oh
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
think about it. What bigger match are you gonna have for All In?
Yeah. Well, they are the only two major stars, aren't they, in terms in that
Right,
division?
because of the way he's booked them.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Megan's in the tag team division now.
Willow,
Willow's
I
a
think Willow is a star in the making. I think with how over
right,
she
but
is.
she's got the TBS title, so she's there with that. So there's really no top women stars. Even Statlander, she's not that level. It was almost like putting the title on Jinder Mahal.
Yeah.
with Statlander. And I'm not trying to,
No,
put her down, but it's like it was an
wasn't that
experiment. But
bad. Wasn't that bad,
right.
but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So I just feel that he hasn't built that women's division up, and I get it. We're having Mina Shirkara basically implanted in the spot of Tony Storm. So she used brass knucks on Mina to protect her from losing. Well, now we're protecting Mina from losing. Pina Shirakawa has been getting pinned left and right nonstop.
Yeah.
She wins one match and she gets a title shot. And then we're using brass knucks. So, the only thing is if it's to build Thecla up for Mercedes. That to me, that's the only thing that makes sense for London. Because they don't have any stars. They don't have any of the women who are stars. So unless you can think of somebody else, that's the only play that I think that you have.
I can think of a lot of women in AEW who I think have the potential to be stars, but are not because of, you know, what's been booked on television. Willow Nightingale's one. Megan Bain is another one. Statlander, I think she had all the tools. One thing that really annoyed me about Statlander was her heel run with Stokely Hathaway just
Right.
being dropped like that, and then she's a babyface all of a sudden, and then Stokely's with FTR. Like, I don't know why they dropped that because I thought
Which
that was
it's a
probably the best thing she did.
it's a better fit Stokely with FTR. Let's just say that.
Oh, you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. But
Yeah,
yeah, not only that, but they just dropped her. She's a babyface again, and then Willow just forgives her. They just hug it out, and that's it.
yeah. After the amazing match they had it all out, which
Yeah.
was but yeah, I think they have a lot of talent. If he is going to focus on Mercedes and Tony now Tony is out for whatever reason for the foreseeable, and people can speculate. All that matters is she's gone and she's not coming back for a long time.
Right.
Like who? Yeah, like you said, who else is there? I mean, Thekla, I think this is probably her chance to really kind of solidify herself as a star. As Thekla, you have to take an opportunity like this and make it your own. So she
Right.
can have a really good run from now through All In and make herself a star. Then she comes out a winner, whether she loses to Mercedes or not. But I agree. I think Mercedes and Thekla probably is the move. Mercedes is going to come back as a babyface. She's losing all of her titles, I think.
Right.
I've lost count of how many she had. I don't keep track of which ones she loses, where she loses them. I just think with all these titles Mercedes had, I think the biggest benefit to these titles would be to have her lose them on Dynamite to guest wrestlers, at least a
Right.
couple of them, just to put some shine on the titles and promotions that they represent.
They're not even bringing them up on TV. They're
No,
not even
no.
mentioning that she's dropping these titles or losing these titles.
I saw a
There's
Twitter
no
post. I saw a Twitter post, and it was a massive monologue about how important it was that Mercedes lost this championship and put this person over. The person didn't even mention the name of the wrestler who beat her. Like, not
well,
even know. What the hell?
and that was the same thing when she came out with all these titles. They did not say what these titles were. They didn't mention
No,
the promotions. So, despite, everyone saying how much, she's been helping these promotions, Tony Khan has not because he wouldn't
no.
mention them on air.
And I should say that I think Mercedes has done great because she's a fantastic wrestler and she's obviously wrestled all over the world, everywhere with these different promotions. I think she's done her bit. But the lack of acknowledgement on television, which is where most people watch, Mercedes Moné related wrestling, I just think has been non-existent. I would have loved to have her lose one of those titles to somebody on Dynamite or on Collision, just so at
Right.
least those promotions get some shine on AEW TV. I don't see what harm that would have done to anyone.
Like she lost, I guess was it the Rev Pro one
That's
to,
probably the biggest. That's probably the most famous one she has. I think Rev Pro over here.
and she lost that to Osprey's from the Battling Birds,
Alex
losing the
Winston.
name. Yeah, why would you not put that actually that was before she left. Actually, she lost that on Collision, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so I take that back. That's what I was gonna say. For some reason, I thought it wasn't on TV, but I guess that was before she left.
Hmm.
But you also had a storyline of her losing these titles and seeing the Mercedes crash out. But I guess you got to pivot now because you need a top babyface.
Well, yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what character she comes back with and when she comes back. I mean, she's been off TV for a few months now.
84 days, something like that.
Yeah. I think, she had a long stretch. She was wrestling towards the end very, very regularly. So I think it's kind
Yeah.
of, hopefully it's an absence makes the heart grow fonder situation where she does come back to a, big pop as a babyface. Um, and maybe they'll do
They
something
need,
different with her character because I didn't really like the
yeah.
character that much.
They got to change
As
that
much as,
music.
yeah, of course. I can't take another CEO chant, man. I can't do
Yeah.
it. Um,
But that's why I think she's dropping all the titles. I think that Tony's finally gonna, put the belt on her.
and it makes sense because, that's why you bring her in, isn't it? That's why you pay her so much money.
Right.
You're not going to not do that. So I think it's only a matter of time. And All In is probably the best place for it.
Right.
Um, and we also got Will Ospreay issuing the challenge to John Moxley for Dynasty. So that's going to happen. Any thoughts on Death Riders Ospreay? Just a bridge match for Ospreay to get back into it, get his revenge for
I
taking him
mean,
out.
I'm assuming it's not for the title. I'm assuming it's going to be more of a grudge match because
I
you
think
don't
so.
want to you're not going to put that Continental title on Osprey if
No.
you're giving him the world title. So, you got Pac against Osprey this week. I'm surprised they're doing it at Dynasty and not saving it for All In. Or Double or Nothing, I mean.
Well, he'll be in the Owen, won't he? I assume.
Right. But, I don't even know when that Owen is planned. I'm assuming, they got till the end of July, the end of
Mhm.
August to finish the Owen. So you don't want to start it too early either. So I think May will be too early even. But you also want to build up. You don't want to end 2 weeks before All In either. So
Yeah, what are they doing the finals at Double or Nothing? Because obviously it worked last time because All In was a lot closer. They shifted it
right.
around, but this year you can't go from May all the way to August with it's too long a build, isn't it? It's going to lose
Exactly.
steam. So yeah, I don't know what the timings are going to be for the Owen, but yeah, I think you're right. If the Owen is not at Double or Nothing like it was last year, then they can play loose and fast with it.
I mean, Forbidden Door would be the when to do the finals because
Yeah,
that's
potentially.
July.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, that adds some
does
legitimacy to that show as well.
does Osprey lose this match and they do some sort of stipulation match for for Double or Nothing? Does Osprey and the Death Riders on opposite ends for the Anarchy in the Arena match?
Hmm.
So it's like I don't even know where you're going. It's like almost like with War Games. It's like I don't know where you even build into an Anarchy in the Arena match against who.
Yeah, I think what they might do is they might do the first round matches at Double or Nothing, kind of like just start the tournament at Double or Nothing.
Right.
And that would kind
Right.
of fill some. That would be an easy way to get him on the card. He's going to be in it, and then he can face whoever, and it doesn't really matter. Doesn't really need a build up.
Right.
So that
And then
might
you
be
could
an
let
easy way out.
Mercedes can still hold on to the Owen belt because she's been carrying that around as one of the titles. So at least she doesn't have to give that one up.
Oh my god, that means she'll never. She's going to keep that one. That's going to be her longest title, isn't it?
Yeah.
3 years.
Well, no, she only won it last year because she went
Maybe
into
2 years. Yeah. So
right,
she'll
right.
keep it until the next Owen.
Yeah, she'll be like MJF
Yeah.
with the diamond ring. She'll just
Yeah.
have it
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
5 years. She'll just keep winning it every year.
Anything else on Dynamite that caught your eye?
Nah, that was it.
Yeah. Um, Dynasty is what, a couple of weeks away, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks today.
10 days. It's
Yeah,
April 12th. So,
yeah, 3 weeks today.
yeah.
3 weeks tomorrow. Sorry, because it's on a Sunday. We'll finish off on some Raw notes,
Okay.
and then we'll get into some other stories. What do you think of Raw? So the week before, I thought Raw was bookended by two very good segments, one better than the other, in Brock and Oba, Roman and Punk, and this show kind of had a similar template in terms of how it was bookended.
It was pretty much
Um,
mirrored.
yeah, yeah. So what do you think? I thought this week's was a bit better than last week's in terms of what we got in between. And I thought the Roman and Punk segment this week was a bit better than the previous one. How are you feeling? Let's start with Roman and Punk. How are you feeling about this? I know this is getting a lot of criticism online, and I guess that's normal because it's the biggest match and it's open to criticism. And if it's not absolutely perfect, we're going to rip it to shreds, that kind of thing on social
Right.
media. What do you think of this segment?
I felt it was needed. I did not need another promo battle. I did not need to hear, you're old. I didn't need to hear, you're gonna bury you with your dad or,
Yeah,
you're
Larry.
all you're only here because I allowed you to, like, the same stuff. They did it for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We didn't need to hear it. I think there was a lot more story to what happened. I think there's a lot more Easter eggs that people may have skipped over. Just the fact that Jey Uso was the one calling the shots and
Yeah.
Roman basically listening to Jey,
Interesting that
which
was.
is a lot. Again, let's look at the 2, 3 steps down the road. That's a lot of post Mania stuff that we could delve into. Is, we've been seeing Crash Out Jey recently, especially in the last couple of weeks with Punk.
Mhm.
We've been seeing that right hand man type anger with him when his promos.
Thank God.
So, yeah. So, he's yeeting when he comes to the ring for his tag matches, but then we're seeing the right hand man towards the end of the night. So, so I think there's a lot of, there's strings of story there that people have to like pay attention to. But
Mhm.
thank God it got physical, because there was
Yeah.
only so much I could take of cutting the same promos. I like that Punk addressed the old comment. He explained why he punched him. It's kind of the same. I agreed with him. It's kind of the same thing that I get when people call me old. I got the grays in my beard. I'm
Yeah.
not hiding them and stuff like that. I like the little shot about Roman, how Roman, dyes his
Just for men.
grays.
I did like the just
Yeah.
for men comment, yeah.
So, and I like that, it finally got physical, because we needed physical. We needed something more than just promos. There's only so much promos you can do before it's like enough. And that's what we saw with the Rhea stuff up until last week. It's like, okay, stop talking, fight already.
Yeah.
We want to see the fight. So I thought the whole segment at the end was great, putting him through the table, Punk laughing about it, despite going through the table, saying that, kind of laughing that, Roman couldn't do it himself. He needed Jey, he needed Jimmy.
Exactly. I loved it.
Like I
I
said,
sorry, you go.
I was just gonna say, like I said a few minutes ago, I wish that he drew some blood.
Yeah.
I thought the imagery would have been great with the blood, but it is what it is. It's WWE.
Yeah,
If it
we
was
had a blood
AEW,
segment.
if it was AEW, he would have been all bloody. But anyway,
Michael Cole will be covered.
yeah, yeah.
Um we had a blood segment with Cody and Randy. That's probably our fill for like 6 months now until we
And
get
then
to
Jacob also was
Oh
bloodied
yeah,
last
Jacob.
week.
Yeah, man, we've been spoiled recently, haven't we? I think they did a bit
Yeah,
too much.
yeah.
You tone it down a bit.
As a matter of fact, really quick, I tweeted this last night. I think, to add to it, Cody and Randy should be a first blood match.
First blood.
That's
All
something
right.
they haven't done in
For
many, many
years.
years. And with what Randy did to Cody, I feel like that would be a great stipulation.
The only one I remember is Stone Cold versus The Undertaker from like 1999, maybe 2000.
Right, right.
I can't remember the last one. Do you remember the last first blood match in WWE?
I would think had to be. I feel like it was Cena was involved in it. I want to say Cena was involved back when
Yeah,
Cena was
maybe.
champion.
Yeah, like mid 2000s, maybe mid to late
Yeah,
2000s. Yeah. It's been at least 10, 15 years, at least.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
I
saying.
mean,
I think that would be great, especially the way he busted him open. I
mhm,
think that would be a nice stipulation, and you could use it to kind of protect people too,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
someone doesn't have to actually take a pin. But not to get off topic, as far as Raw,
Nope.
I felt that was needed.
Yeah, and
So
I think what I've liked in the last 2 weeks is the kind of the contrast. So the week before we had Punk losing it, attacking Roman on the floor, laughing that he's in his head. And we kind of got the opposite this week, where
right,
Roman was the one who crashed out and Punk was the one laughing because he got the upper hand. And it feels to me like it's just a battle of who's in the other one's head. And they both think they're winning. And that's what that's what I find fascinating about this. And I think that's why Roman didn't react to Punk saying, I'm going to bury you with your father. And he even said to the Usos, he owes you an apology, not me. And I think Roman was just being the bigger guy. I'm not going to fall to this bait that Punk's giving me. But yeah, they're kind of in each other's heads, and neither are prepared to admit it. And
right.
like they both think they're winning, and they're not. So I agree with you. I think the physicality was needed this week. I'm wondering where they go from here. They're both on the show again in Madison Square Garden, so that's a big show always for WWE.
They need to
And
do something really big. They need to do something
yeah,
really big. This whole show on Monday
needs to kill
needs
it.
to get needs to be big. One, you're on your in your hometown. You're in your home turf of Madison Square Garden, even though we know it's Connecticut, but you know,
It's their home away from home, isn't it? Like
it was
it's their
always
show,
called
yeah.
New it was always called New York.
Yeah.
During the territory days, you're going to New York, you're going to WWF.
Hmm.
So Madison Square Garden is their home.
Yeah.
They need to do something big. You got Penta doing an open challenge.
Who's going to show up in New York? Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say it's gonna be Finn Balor, and then he's gonna get screwed over by Dominic.
Yeah. And the match
So
gets made official.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I kind of see that happening. Brock's gonna be there, Roman's gonna be there.
Yeah.
Brock needs to get the upper hand on Oba for once, because
Oh yeah.
otherwise you're just saying that Brock's gonna win. So
Yeah.
there's I don't know where they're gonna go on the next step when it comes to Punk and Roman. Are we going to still have the Usos involved? Are we going to let them deal with the tag team stuff? It's almost like Jelly Roll to
Hmm.
a sense.
Yeah.
It's like, how much are we going to rely on other people instead of the two people who are actually in the match?
Yeah. I think the Usos have been a nice accent to the feud just because of the family connection, but
Right.
I don't want to see them every week involved. You know what I mean? I think this needs
Right.
to be Punk and Roman. They've got their
It
own
made
story to
sense.
tell.
Right. It made sense a couple of weeks ago when Roman wasn't there. So they kind of bridged between that 1 week that Roman wasn't going to be there.
Yeah.
But now we don't need to do it. You can still tell the story of is Jay in charge with like a backstage promo, but you don't need it, Punk getting beat up by all three again. Especially at the point that we know Punk doesn't have any friends.
Exactly.
He doesn't have, anyone to back him up.
No. And he's not going to because that's him, isn't it? He doesn't
Yeah.
have friends.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know where they go with this. I'm wondering what else I mean, there's people saying that they want Roman to bring up Larry and stuff. He might do, and that might send Punk completely over the edge, where we get Punk in, proper engaging in real physical violence. I don't know. I think this still has potential to be an incredible main event just because of the two guys involved. They can deliver on the big stage.
Right. Let me
And I
let
don't
me
think
ask you
anything does
something.
him bad. Sorry, go on. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, do you think Larry needs to even be brought up? I
Do I
mean,
think he
is it
needs
really
to?
gonna
No.
is it gonna add anything to it? Honestly, they kind of, Punk said what he said. He almost kind of apologized for it, and they kind of moved on from it.
Yeah.
They're not even talking about it anymore.
I mean,
So it's like,
it's bordering on the territory of low hanging fruit. And
right,
I think there's plenty of other things that they can do to generate loads of heat between these two. Would it generate heat? Yeah, I think it would. Is it absolutely necessary? No. I think that something like that is necessary for Rhea and Jade, 100%. Like something
right.
deeply personal. But I don't think it's necessary. I'm not going to be upset if it's not mentioned because I think they can get along without it. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do mention it. So I'm kind of here or there with it, but I don't think I need it.
So you think Roman's gonna cook him some pepper steak?
Yeah. Yeah.
Larry
Yeah.
steak.
Oh god, we're gonna get a Kendall from Hell match.
Yeah. But
Oh man.
I just don't think mentioning the dead dog is going to do anything. It's a heel move. I mean, granted, neither one of them are a baby face, neither one of them are a heel. They're both kind of tweeners,
Yeah.
but I just don't think it adds to it. I think there's enough meat on the bone with just their history and the wrestling part
Hmm.
that even though, like I said, they moved on from the Sika thing. Roman kind of brought it up on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
That Punk said something derogatory about his dad, but otherwise, I just don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's going to add to the match. I
It's not
think
crying out for it, is it?
right, and it's like you said, low hanging fruit. It's an easy way.
Yeah.
It's not very creative.
No.
So
And we keep saying that WWE is predictable, and this would be a predictable thing to do for me.
right,
So I'm not crying out for it, but I thought it was another good
I
segment.
honestly, if I want to draw heat and I'm Roman Reigns, and if Triple H really wants to show that he's got balls, let Roman drop 3 letters in on a
Oh
promo.
man, can you imagine? Can you
You think
imagine that?
about it.
Yeah.
Can let him drop those AEW letters. One,
I can't see them mentioning it on Netflix. I can't see them giving them any direct publicity ever. I just can't see. I'd love to see it, but I just can't see
yeah.
them doing it.
I mean, it's it's his history.
Yeah.
Bring up how he got fired from AEW. Bring this stuff up. Stop holding back. Everyone knows AEW exists.
Yeah.
This isn't the 80s and 90s where Vince pretended like WCW did not exist.
Yeah.
Okay?
I don't know what they're scared of.
WWE acknowledges it. I don't think it's a matter of Netflix. I think it's more WWE just not wanting to do it. But I also think the meltdown of mentioning that on Twitter would be hilarious, because anytime that someone is mentioned who is in AEW, who was in WWE, it's a whole big thing. Let's move over to the Brock and Paul Heyman promo. They
Yeah.
mentioned Dean Ambrose. Everyone flipped out that WWE has to mention AEW. So it's like, okay, WWE pretends like history doesn't exist. You get upset about it. They bring up history and you get upset about it because the guy's no longer there.
Yeah.
Why did no one get upset when they mentioned Bobby Lashley? No one said,
exactly.
oh,
Yeah.
it's all Dean Ambrose. They mentioned Dean Ambrose, and he didn't even say John Moxley, because Seth has actually called him Mox before in promos. But they mentioned Dean Ambrose. They went through Brock's hit list of WrestleMania opponents. So I don't understand. I found it funny that was like the breaking point for some people on Twitter, in the fact that they mentioned Dean Ambrose during a promo. Like it's not one of the most infamous Brock Lesnar WrestleMania matches, because neither one wanted him to be there.
Oh, you could
Which
tell
I think
Brock
is
didn't want to do that match. You could tell straight away that match was bad.
which at this point might be what we're looking at for Jade and Rhea, but
yeah.
But
We'll
I
see.
just found that funny that everyone flipped out that they mentioned Dean Ambrose.
I
But
know
it's like,
it's weird. Like
I
you say,
guess,
they didn't mention John Moxley. They mentioned his
right,
his old
WWE
name.
name.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
WWE name. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. And like you say, like Bobby Lashley is the current one, and he's actually using his real name. But there was no
Right.
outcry over that. But I think it's because the way that Dean Ambrose left WWE and John Moxley joined AEW, and Moxley kind of held up AEW a lot during its early years, and he was like a major player. I think that's probably why. And obviously the way he left with a lot of bad blood for the WWE regime at the time.
Right.
He's kind of like a freedom fighter for those kind of fans, isn't he?
And he's the ace of AEW.
The ace of AEW.
Yeah.
But we'll see what they do next week. CM Punk and Roman Reigns in Madison Square Garden. That's, like I say, that show has to be a massive show. And there needs to be a lot of big things, including Brock and Oba, which takes us nicely into the opening segment of last week's Raw.
Which I was going to ask you, what do they have to do this week to really sell Brock and Oba more?
Brock needs to get the upper hand, definitely. And I think after that, if they could do... I mean, I see a lot of people talk about, are they going to do any promos? I don't see why not, because Oba's a good promo. And Brock is a funny promo when he wants to be. And I think Brock doesn't do much promo because he's had Heyman for so long. But when Brock does a promo, I don't think he's that bad at all. Like, he's an okay promo. But I think that Brock needs to get the upper hand next week, just to kind of level the playing field a bit.
Right.
Because like you said, if Oba keeps getting the upper hand, then you're just setting up for a Brock win. And I think I mentioned this on a space. You remember the Brock and Big Show feud going into Survivor Series 2002?
Right.
Where every week, Big Show had the upper hand. And then at the last second, Brock got the upper hand. And it was like, oh, maybe he can beat the Big Show. And he didn't, unfortunately. So, yeah, I think they kind of need to level the playing field a bit in terms of the momentum. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, what are you expecting? Are you expecting physicality, or are you expecting something different this week?
Oh, I think there'll definitely be physicality, because how can you not between the two?
Yeah.
I don't want to see Brock. I don't want to see them do the same thing again. I guess I want to see Oba in the ring and then Brock come out to interrupt Oba.
Yeah.
Whether Oba's cutting a promo, whether, he just has a squash match. But it's definitely got to be something where Brock somehow gets the upper hand because, again, like we've been saying, otherwise you're just telegraphing the fact that Brock's going to win at Mania.
Yeah.
And then the question is, should Brock win at WrestleMania?
This is probably the most divisive. This is more divisive than the two main events, I think. The outcome of this match. Like, I don't know if you heard me and Keithus talk about it. Keithus's thoughts are, if Oba wins, he wants it to be by a hair, it's a struggle, or do a no contest. And I heard him out, and I do like the way he presents that argument. Me personally, I like the idea of Oba winning, but not convincingly. But it does bring up the question, if Oba wins, then there's a lot of pressure on WWE to then carry on that momentum meaningfully instantly. Because once you beat Brock at WrestleMania, you can't go down from that. You just can't.
Well, I think we were in a space, even before you started your show, we were in a space a few weeks ago when we were talking about that. And I had brought up, before they officially announced the match, it's like you're going to just put Oba right to the final boss.
Yeah.
You're going down the pipe and you're going all the way to King Koopa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're skipping the entire Mushroom Kingdom to get to King Koopa.
Yeah.
So
You're
it's like,
running.
Right. So it's like, again, like I keep saying, 2-3 steps ahead. Where are we at SummerSlam? Where are we at Survivor Series with Oba? You do something like this and you may fall into a trap like you have with Gunther. Gunther beat Cena. He beat Styles. And he kind of got lost.
He did.
Now we haven't seen Gunther for 3 weeks. And I know that maybe that has to do with Rey Mysterio's injury.
Yeah.
But you still could have been following up with Gunther to keep him hot instead of cooling him down for not having him on TV for 3 weeks. So it's like you got choices. First off, Oba loses, you're going to hear everyone say he's buried.
Yep.
You're going to hear all the derogatory nicknames, which I'm not even going to say, and all that stuff. I'm actually surprised we didn't get that last night with Carmelo losing. So I'm happy that didn't happen. But, again, where do you go with Oba? Next step would be King of the Ring.
Yeah.
And
maybe then win the title at SummerSlam.
Right. Which is it actually mirrors Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. His rookie year.
Because when he beat The Rock, he won King of the Ring and then he beat The Rock at SummerSlam.
Yep.
So at that point, but then if you're going to do that, and we're assuming that he's going to be on Raw, meaning Oba, does that mean you keep the title on Punk or Roman? Because now you have to align that. Are you going to have Oba beat Roman for the title? I mean,
if he beats Brock, then there's realistically, in terms of, face of the company star power, only 3 guys he can go up against. And that's Cody, Punk, and Roman. So, yeah, he's going to have to beat Punk or Roman at SummerSlam. And like you say, which one does he got? I think Punk.
Beating Roman so that means Punk beats Roman. So
I think Punk beats Roman. I do think Punk's retaining. Yeah.
Like we've been seeing, it's a bookend situation. What happens in the front match, and let's be real, it's most likely going to be the opening match of one of the 2 nights because they're going to be on ESPN.
If Brock doesn't end, he starts.
Not even that, because it's going to be on ESPN. And Brock's your biggest crossover mainstream media name that you want on ESPN.
That's true.
So that's why it's going to be in those first hours, one of those 2 shows. So you're literally going to be bookending with the other, especially if you go night 2. So it's just like we've been seeing on Raw.
Yeah.
So now the question is, okay, Oba wins. Obviously, if Brock wins, it doesn't matter who wins. Really matters there. But if Oba wins, then it's like, and if you're gonna build to him getting that title match at SummerSlam, which is but then it also falls under babyface and heel dynamic. Because Oba's obviously the babyface. You're not going to turn Oba heel.
No. Look at the reactions he gets already.
Right. So you're not... Yeah, but in defense, Trick gets him too, and he's a heel.
That's true.
So... But, does that when you for Dylan. Is that when you pull the Punk heel turn?
There you go, Dylan. You were right all along, man.
You know, does Punk turn heel at Mania to win the match? You know, that's a story that you could tell from there too.
I mean, there's so much, like, in terms of interconnectivity.
That's why it's funny to me how people are shitting. This is such a horrible build. This is a horrible Mania. There's so much more. If you actually looked at it and paid attention and looked past the whole AEW versus WWE aspect, and you
Mhm.
look at the actual stories and the connective tissue, there is so much there that it's not as predictable as everyone wants to think it is.
No, and I actually think this build to WrestleMania has been pretty good outside of a couple of
Yeah.
things. And like, let's go back to WrestleMania 39, right? That was a great Mania. Everyone loves WrestleMania 39. The build
Right.
to it outside the bloodline wasn't that great. You look at Rhea and Charlotte, that was a terrible build. Bianca and Asuka, that wasn't that great either. They had like
Right.
thrown together tag team showcase matches, which were great, but didn't have any build. And like there wasn't really a lot like top to bottom that was fantastically built week to week for months and months leading up to that show. The bloodline just for 2 WrestleManias in a row stole the show. And
Right.
therefore, retrospectively, you look back on it as a great WrestleMania. And I think that the build, whether you think the build is good or not, how the show goes out on the 2 nights is ultimately what gets remembered. And that WrestleMania
Right.
17 is a great example of that, like we mentioned earlier. Like
Yeah.
WrestleMania 17 was quite sloppy and rushed up towards the end, building up that pay-per-view. But nobody cares
Because
about that
everything,
because
because
yeah,
everything with WCW that was going on, the
yeah.
buyout and all that. It's 25 years. Jeez.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But nobody cares because the show was so fucking
right.
great.
And if you actually think about it, WrestleMania 17 didn't have that many big matches. You had
No.
Undertaker and Triple H.
Shane and
You
Vince,
know,
the main event,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
TLC match. They were the big 4.
right. Then what did you have? You had the gimmick battle royal.
Yeah. Kurt Angle and
You know,
Benoit, which was built very late. You had
right.
Regal and Jericho, which was a comedy angle.
Wait, was it Regal and Jericho? Was it Regal
Yeah.
and RVD?
No, Regal and
That was
Jericho.
18, right? That was the year
Yeah,
after, I
18,
think.
yeah. You had Eddie Guerrero
You
and
know,
Test.
yeah, and then you had APA and Taz in a 6-man tag. I think the right to
Yeah.
censor.
And then you had Kane, Big Show, and Raven in that hilarious hardcore
Right.
match.
Yeah. So, which is what I want to see out. Which I want to see out of Drew and like that, out of Drew and
Yeah.
Jacob, do something ridiculous. Let them go through walls, through offices, and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
And
But
WrestleMania
the whole
17 had 5 no DQ matches on WrestleMania 17. 5.
right.
It was crazy.
So so it's like a lot of people. Obviously it's 25 years ago. People don't remember, but it wasn't that big of a WrestleMania. It's that main event that really,
yeah.
Really stole it. So
It was a product of its time as well. The timing of that show as well,
right.
like WCW going under. It was like the end of the Attitude Era. Everything kind of came together, and the whole Vince McMahon, Shane, Stone Cold Rock thing. I still think it's the best pay-per-view ever because of the time it was, when I watched it, how I felt at the time, and what it signified for. And also, I think it was peak wrestling fandom as well in terms of popularity.
If you want to line it up, I would say it's on the same level as a WrestleMania 40, where it comes to a bookend of an era.
Yeah,
because WrestleMania 40 was pretty much the end of the Vince McMahon era. Even
and the
though
bloodline.
Vince was gone,
yeah,
the bloodline thing, that was really the end, WrestleMania 40. So very similar to WrestleMania 17, where you kind of ended one chapter and then you went to another. And I don't want to say the era word because it's what we do, but yeah, but so I just think that a lot of people, again, they're so concentrated on metrics and ratings and star ratings and TV ratings and cage match ratings that people are just like shitting on the build, and the build hasn't been horrible.
No, it was better than last year's. Last year's build was worse than this year's by far.
Yeah, so I think that a lot of people just aren't looking at it with an open mind because we've allowed ourselves to just rely on the tribalism and rely on, the one company versus the other instead of just concentrating on the positives of what each company is presenting.
Do you think, let me ask you, do you think that people like to be negative so it gives them like a kind of superiority complex in terms of their standards? If I shit on everything, it means, oh, this isn't good enough for me. Do you think that's part of it? Because I see a lot of people it feels like they're just regurgitating what the popular take is. You know what I mean? They
Right.
see a big account say this build's ass, therefore I'm just gonna type this build is ass with a crying face. There's no context behind what they say. They don't have in-depth discussions like you and I are having as to why things might be good or bad.
Right.
And I see a lot of that, and it's kind of like sound bites, buzzwords, the usual stuff, triple fraud, all that kind of stuff. And like, I get like Triple H has a lot of criticism thrown at him that is warranted, but you kind of need to explain yourself rather than just throw buzzwords out on social media for engagement. And I think that's what we see a lot of. And I don't really think and that's why I don't really take it seriously, especially at the moment.
It's the Twitter echo chamber. The IWC echo chamber is part of the reason. The tribalism is part of the
Mm,
reason. It's like if you got Boston and New York, Yankees and Red Sox.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
gonna shit on them no matter what. But in the same way, I remember Johnny Damon. I don't know how much you know about American baseball.
Not a lot.
Johnny Damon for many, many years was a member of the Boston Red Sox.
Right.
So let just picture Johnny Damon is Dean Ambrose,
Okay.
not
Yeah, yeah.
Moxley, but
Yeah,
Ambrose. Okay. So or anyone who's in one company right now. Then eventually, I don't remember if he was traded or he just signed during free agency. He became a Yankee.
yeah.
So he became John Moxley. You know what I mean? So it's like he jumped to the other side. Then all of a sudden, all the Yankee fans love Johnny Damon.
The Red
It's
Sox
like
fans don't like him.
yeah. So it's kind of like that, and that's what we see with wrestling. You love
Yeah.
somebody when they're in AEW, and the WWE fans don't like the guy. The guy signs with WWE. All of a sudden, all the AEW fans are shitting the guy. Poor
Yeah.
Danhausen. And so it's very much similar like that. I think it's a lot of people just like what they like, and they can't put their feelings on the side to look at things objectively.
Yeah.
I will admit I lean more towards WWE. I've been watching WWE since 1985. Yes,
Mhm.
grazing the beard. I'm old, you
No just for
know,
men here.
but I try my best to be as objective when I'm watching AEW because I don't want to, rely on just, leaning towards one or the other.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And it's the same thing with WWE. I try not to let, my history and my memories of being a WWE fan, affect what I'm watching in front of me. So, like, I was able to, shit on that creative decision with Sami Zayn
Mhm.
because I didn't agree with it. I didn't think it was good, but it's always like, you're a WWE shill. You're like, look at my timeline, bud. I have conversations with people about AEW as much as I do WWE. And the things that people say, I will argue with someone if I think it's just disingenuous.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'll
it.
see a lot of disingenuous takes.
Yeah.
You'll see disingenuous takes about Road Dogg. I just want to say this about Road Dogg and
Yeah, Road Dogg.
the whole Smackdown situation, because Smackdown has not been great. When you move from one creative team to another, things are not going to happen overnight,
No.
especially when you have things locked in leading to something like WrestleMania. You can't just throw everything into the garbage and start fresh. So I see a lot of people today because of this cage match rating that a whole 20 people voted on.
Give me a break,
And,
man.
yeah. And I just feel that people need to, you know, understand that things don't happen overnight. I don't know. Did you watch Daredevil Born Again
No, I didn't.
from last season?
No.
So they filmed it's a reboot of the Daredevil series on Disney Plus. They actually filmed an entire first season. They went back, they didn't like it. Then they went back and filmed like additional things, and it was all meshed together, flip-flop jigsaw. So
Right.
when you're watching that first season, you actually could see the storyline go this and that because because it was just two different creative heads putting something together. And that's what I feel like with WWE, with SmackDown specifically. I think that's where people are expecting. They're expecting, oh, Road Dogg quit, he got fired, whatever. All of a sudden things are going to change, and the entire show's going to do a 180. It's not going to do it in overnight.
No.
It takes time.
these plans have been in place for a long time.
Right.
And how many Road Dogg came up with and how many we're never gonna know that. So it's very difficult to say, I mean, people are always looking for blame when they don't like a show.
Right.
100%. Like straight away. It's like it's bad because Triple H. It's like maybe it's just not for you. Maybe that's it. I don't blame a certain person when I don't like a show. I just think this just wasn't for me. They didn't hit for me, you know? But again,
Right.
we're so reactionary these days. And a lot of people get very, very upset and more upset than they should be over a pro wrestling show. I think we've seen very few lot of
Exactly.
examples of
Which
that.
which I find funny a lot, and most of the people get upset have in their profiles, it's pro wrestling, it's not that serious.
Yeah, yeah.
But you
Obviously
know
is,
what?
pal.
Yeah. So I just think that people need to they lack patience also. We live in that TikTok generation. We live in that 3 minutes at a time, clips type generation, which goes into the whole conversation about ratings and,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
really because we live in such a time period that, more people pay attention to 2 minute clips online than they will sit and watch a whole show.
Yeah.
So I just think people need to have more patience when it comes to, and this is not just a WWE thing. This is AEW, TNA, whatever it is. It's episodic serial television. Not everything is going to happen that day. It's not going to happen on that episode. You want to build a story arc that's going to last many, many weeks. Obviously, wrestling doesn't have a season. You
No.
watch you watch a regular show like an NCIS. There's 22 episodes. They got to get from episode 1 to episode 22, and they're going to complete that arc and that story. We don't have that with wrestling. There's no time period. Things happen, injuries happen, outside things happen, creative differences happen. I think people need to just be patient, and we need to stop generalizing that one company is doing something because the other company is not, and vice versa. And we need to realize that pro wrestling and sports entertainment are the same exact thing. You might have one company that focuses more on the in ring product more than the characters, and the other one goes for the characters because that's what they've always known and that's what's always connected to their audience. But it's still, at the end of the day, it's all the same thing.
I mean, why do you think Tony Storm was so popular in AEW? Because
That
she
is
was a
literally a
character work.
character.
Yeah.
That is, I'm sorry, her double entendres, that's all freaking sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Orange Cassidy, sports entertainment.
Yeah.
That's not a pro wrestling
Yeah.
character. Those are sports
And
entertainment.
I
For
get it.
someone to
Like
argue,
I get it. AEW, I think, and WWE, I think it's good that they both exist because they both offer different things for different people. And that's the way wrestling should be. And if AEW, like you say, focuses more on the work rate and the in ring. And sometimes for me, I want to see an Osprey and Omega match because it's just exhilarating to watch that kind of thing. But
right,
it's it's foolish to deny that AEW doesn't have sports entertainment because it does. And it's some of the most successful stuff they've done. Adam Cole and MJF was sports entertainment up until the whole devil shit. And it was some of the best stuff they've done on television because it's entertaining. As much as wrestling can only get you so far, and wrestling can only get you so far with a certain amount of people. But the Tony Storm stuff was very successful because she was really funny and entertaining. The whole Mariah May thing was probably the best story they've done in that women's division ever because of how entertaining it was and the character work that was done. So I get that AEW might be where the best wrestle, but it's definitely foolish to say that it's not sports entertainment and they're not separate in that regard. So I agree
right.
with you
And then
there.
I had someone argue with me this week that, AEW is pro wrestling, WWE is only sports entertainment. That's not true. It's
No,
all
they're the
the
same
same
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
MJF is a sports entertainer.
Yeah.
I mean, the character, he's reincarnated, he's Roddy Piper.
Yeah. He is. Yeah.
Roddy Piper was a sports entertainer, even before Vince McMahon coined the term sports entertainment. So, like you said, Tony Storm, the dancing thing with Jericho and MJF, where they were singing, like
Oh boy.
the Mimosa match with OC and
Yeah.
Jericho.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like this is all sports entertainment stuff. So WWE relies on one thing, AEW relies on another, but WWE is still pro wrestling. They're doing the exact same playbook they've done for the last 45 years.
Yeah.
So,
They're just two sides of the same coin, aren't they? And
right.
that's fine. And that's fine. And they're, you know, I like a lot of what AEW's done this year compared to the last couple of years, for example. I think WWE's probably been on the downtrend latter half of last year, but I think they're picking up for Mania. Like it's not everything's not perfect as we saw last night on SmackDown, but I remember a time, and I think it was probably 2024 going into WrestleMania 39 or WrestleMania 40, sorry, where I think that was the time where both WWE and AEW, for my tastes, were both killing it because you had the Revolution 24 with Sting's last match. That was a great period for AEW. And then going into WrestleMania 40, that was the last period where I thought they were both absolutely top of their game. And I'm hoping we can kind of get back to that this year because the last couple of years, especially like last year, for me, it just nothing clicked for either promotion, to be honest.
Let me ask you this. What do you want to see WWE give you for WrestleMania this year? Is there something specific that you want them to, get to? I'm
Right.
not talking like so much, I'm not even talking like a storyline.
Mm,
I'm talking as a company, you know, something that's missing. For me, I want them to let the guys and girls work.
yeah.
Put on the matches. Don't rely on the backstage skits. Give people the wrestling. You've built the storylines for weeks and weeks. You've got the characters. Let them do what they do, what they have wanted to do, and be wrestlers. So I want to see them, you know, put a little more effort into the in-ring product for WrestleMania this year.
Yeah, I think the same. I think we need to see it's 25 years since WrestleMania 17. And
Yeah.
you can tell in WrestleMania 17, the gloves were just off. Like so much crazy shit happened on that show. Like the triple threat hardcore, Vince versus Shane, I think is the best non-wrestling match of all time. The main event, Undertaker Triple H, the TLC2 match. I just want to see them just let loose. Gloves off. Throw a couple more stipulation matches in there. Get some color. Like you say, let the in-ring do the talking. Because AEW does this really well at pay-per-view, where they just say, right, the pay-per-view is all about the wrestlers. Go and show us what you've got. And they do because they're great wrestlers and they're allowed to just let it all out. It might be a bit much for some people at sometimes, but compared to WWE pay-per-views, which have largely felt just so safe and boring outside of the big ones, you look at like WrestlePalooza and Clashing wherever they are, nothing really memorable happens on those shows, and there's only like 4 or 5 matches. So if you have 3 stinkers, you haven't got 4 or 5 matches that can make up for it. So I just want to see the gloves off for WrestleMania, especially after last year's
I
Mania,
want
which sucked.
right.
But yeah, that's what I want to see.
I wanted them to take a page out of Evolution's playbook from this year.
Mm,
Evolution is considered last year's best WWE pay-per-view or
yeah,
PLE, whatever.
tied with Chamber, I think. Yeah, they're the big 2.
Right. So I just want them, like you said, let the wrestlers do what they're supposed to do and be wrestlers.
Yeah,
We don't need all the, obviously you're gonna have the stipulation matches, there'll be gimmicks, but we don't need all the gimmicks. We don't need the bells and whistles. I mean, you got Cody and Randy. Let Cody and Randy go do their thing. Let Punk and Roman do their thing. You're probably gonna get Seth and Braun Breaker. Let them do their thing. Let Jacob and Drew do their thing.
yeah. I'm actually looking forward to that probably more than most things on the show, to be
Yeah.
honest.
So I want them to move a little away from the WWE style, especially for a tentpole event like WrestleMania,
Yeah,
and let the wrestlers, Triple H ran NXT Black and Gold. Give us Black and Gold matches.
yeah. I think that for anyone who says that Triple H is not a good booker, I get that he's had his troubles on the main roster, but you watch those Black and Gold weekly shows. It was fucking great, man. It was really
Yeah.
good. And
They
people say,
were
"Oh,
better than the main roster shows.
yeah."
That's what pissed Vince off so much.
Exactly. Every single WWE pay-per-view, I was like, I don't care. When's the takeover? That's what I'm interested in. On the Saturday night before the takeover, that was what stole the show every weekend. And people saying, oh, we should get Shawn Michaels to come up and book the main roster. Exactly the same thing will happen. It's not a sandbox like NXT is. NXT, you can do what the fuck you want. Well,
Right.
main roster, you can because you're responsible for shitloads of revenue and money potentially coming in. So there's a lot more constraints on the main roster. So as
I
much
think
as I think,
also, I think Sean's booking style is a lot different than Triple H's
yeah,
also.
it is. Yeah,
He's very much more new generation, I feel like.
yeah,
And we like, we saw that originally with NXT 2.0. That was a little more cartoony and stuff like that.
yeah. We
And I
don't
think
talk
that's why
about
you
that.
got, well, I think that's why you also, yeah, but look at some of the biggest names came from 2.0 right
Yeah,
now.
look where they are now. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like
get.
Braun Breaker, Kamala Hayes,
It
Trick
was hard to
Williams,
watch
you
at the
know,
time, but yeah,
yeah, and I just feel that like, I always said that Sean is more like, books more like a new generation,
yeah.
which I feel he learned from Vince. But it was, and even that's what I think that's the downfall of Tony D. And I'm not saying that, he's down, but he's been there for 5 years. And he got stuck when he first started in 2.0 with a character that was
Yeah,
not going to translate to the main roster.
yeah, 100%.
The
But
mafia guy's
now,
not going to.
but
Now the
now,
vigilante, yeah,
he,
the vigilante guy, he's almost like you know what he feels like? He feels like the Punisher,
he does. He's fucking
the
great,
comic
by
book
the way.
character.
Now, like I was not. I agree with you because I think that do you know who else fell into that category? Andre Chase, Chase U. It was
Yeah,
never going to be a main roster gimmick. And where's Andre Chase now? Like Duke Hudson's
he's
gone, Thea Hill's on her own. Andre Chase
yep.
is he did the bum ass Chase thing for a bit, and now he's not on TV. But Tony D, I was not expecting him to come back as legit as he has, and I fully expect him to win the NXT title next weekend in a fatal 4-way.
See, I'm wondering about that because I think he's gonna, with this character, he's actually not gonna be long for NXT. I
Well,
think they're gonna finally bring him up. So I don't think he's gonna. It's like you put the title on him, but then you have, what are you gonna do with Ricky and Ethan? I mean, it's like there's guys there that need to be called up.
I think Joe Hendry's losing the title because they cannot wait to get him on the main roster and sell some merch. Definitely, he's going to be
Right.
big money maker. Ethan Page, as much as I'd like to see him on the main roster, I wonder if they keep him down a bit just for experience, like a Sean Spears kind of guy who's just there to kind of
Right.
help. But Ricky Saints and Tony D, I wonder if they give Tony D the title just to see him carry a division on his own, see how he gets on, just to see how he can do. I thought they'd do that with Javon Evans, but they obviously fast tracked him.
Right.
Um, but yeah, you might be right. But either way, I see Joe Hendry losing that title next Saturday because he's 100% doesn't need to be in NXT.
The funny part is all four of those guys are probably ready to come up to the main
Exactly.
roster.
Yeah, yeah. So who wins the title?
You know,
Like, I
same
don't
thing
think
with
Ethan
Mariah
Page is winning
May.
it. Yeah,
Same thing with Blake Monroe. It's like there's so much, but there's also only so much room on the main roster, which people don't
exactly.
understand
Yeah,
either. When they're like, oh, they're making fun of Ricky being, being there, and Mariah May being there, and all these people being in NXT. It's like, one, you still need bodies in NXT. You need names.
you need
On
stars as
top of the
well.
fact,
Like, yeah,
right? On top of the fact, there's only so much room on the main roster for these people that are already, and the people that are already there. So it's like you have to give it time and wait, and that goes into the whole Royce Keys conversation,
yeah,
because it's like a lot of, you see a lot of people saying, where's Royce Keys? Where's Royce Keys? First off, they're giving him reps. He's on main event every week, so he's having matches before Raw and SmackDown. Two, like Ray Phoenix, he's coming in at a time as they're on the road to WrestleMania, and they got all these stories, and you don't want to just shoehorn him in, because we see what that did for Ray Phoenix last year.
yeah,
What's Ray Phoenix doing now? He's doing backstage promos, breaking, coming between the freaking Motor Machine Guns and Fraxium.
yeah.
You know, so I think Royce Keys is going to have a nice latter half of the year. I think he will definitely show up at the second half. I'm sorry, the SmackDown after Mania. And I think from there, you're going to see where he goes. And from there, we can make judgment on if he made a mistake or not.
Yeah, I think so. Something else you said, what I want to see at WrestleMania. I want I know we keep using the word era, but I want the genuine feeling of a fresh start. Yeah, I want to see lots of feuds end. I want to feel like Monday after WrestleMania is going to bring us totally fresh new stuff. I don't want to see too much continuation out of Mania. I know there needs to be a little bit for certain feuds. But we'll wrap this up very quickly, but I want to ask you one more question about
Yeah.
Gunther. So Gunther has been off TV for a few weeks. There is a report from our good friends in the Dirt Sheets that he's still slated to have a big role at WrestleMania. Do you think that he's been hamstrung with this career killer gimmick? Because if you have plans for a career killer, there's only a handful of people at any time who are planning on retiring. And if that person, say, Rey Mysterio gets injured, what do you do with Gunther? What do you think of this? What's happening?
First off, the plan from what I read was going to be Rey Mysterio, whether
Mhm.
it's retirement. I always thought Rey wanted to retire against Dominic.
Yeah, it makes sense, didn't it?
Right. That's always what I thought Rey's wishes were, and it's, yeah, you pigeonholed Gunther as in he could only have big matches against guys he's going to retire. Not everyone's going to retire at the same time, so it's like at this point, if Ray's not back, don't rely on the career gimmick. Not everything has to be to end a career. You got LA Knight not doing anything. You got Gunther not doing anything. Here's your match right there.
Why not? I
With,
mean, they've had so many injuries, they might as well just do something, because I've said that with this whole Vision storyline, which has been cursed from the outset, with the amount of
which, oh, by the way,
injuries,
Seth blames himself. You know that? He
does he?
said that it's karma for doing the fake injury over the summer. That the
Yeah,
rest of the Vision,
he's kind of right. Yeah.
yeah. So,
But like with how many injuries they've had in this storyline, I'm not going to judge them for what they piece together from pieces of shit. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Just put something on the card. If Braun is back, that's a miracle and that's perfect. Seth and Braun, if they're both back, then that's a win. But whatever they put together with this storyline, I don't really care. Just put it on the show. I'm not going to be like, oh, this booking's ass just because there's so much cursed with this storyline.
right.
Just book it and then forget it ever existed, because I need to move on from it after Mania.
Yeah, people have to also understand that, injuries have happened. It's screwed plans up. It
Yeah.
happens all the time. Cards subject to change is a terminology in wrestling for a reason. I think they've been holding off on the Seth thing because they're hoping for Braun to be back.
Do you think
I
Seth's
think
cleared?
he's gonna. They haven't announced it officially,
No.
but I feel he's gonna. He's been getting some physicality, so I don't think he's totally cleared. But I think he will be in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think tomorrow or Monday, Madison Square Garden, you got the whole masked man thing.
The
You
Merry
know,
Men,
it
yeah.
yeah, it looks like, Paul's gonna get his again from Seth. Brock's not there. One of the masked men, take off the hood. It's Braun Breaker,
You,
spear.
you know how I do it? So I would have Seth in the ring with all his masked men behind him, and I would have them do that stupid thing they did. You know where they all run around? They
Yeah,
all exit the
the
ring?
putty,
Yeah.
the putties from Power Rangers thing.
Yeah. Do that again, but there's one who stays. There's one guy left who just doesn't
Yeah.
move, and that's Braun Breaker. I think
Yeah,
that's how you
and
do
that's
it.
what I mean. We've seen that before. I remember, with Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle were having their feud, and Shawn was one of the cameramen, and he took the stuff off. I mean, they do it all the time, but it's predictable, but it works.
It's not always bad. And it's good for a return as well. It fits what they're doing, and it's the best we can get.
And honestly, no one really knows if Breaker's going to be cleared. So if you just have him spear, freak and cut Seth in half, and then just unmask, it's going to be a great moment. It's Madison Square Garden. It's a huge thing. It leads to a huge match, and the Vision needs it.
Like, obviously, because Seth got injured. What if Seth hadn't got injured? Where do you think the Vision would be right now?
Well, what were the plans? I think it was supposed to be Seth and Punk.
Yeah. So do you think Braun would still be together as like Braun, Seth,
I think
Bronson, and Paul?
Right. I don't think the Vision was planning a breakup yet. I think they pulled the trigger on that because of the Seth injury. So I think that it was gonna either that or Seth and I think it was gonna be Seth and Roman.
Yeah.
And then I think it was gonna be Cody and Punk.
Yeah.
I think that's what the original plan was.
It's crazy how one injury can affect so many different things. It's like it's
people,
all interconnected, isn't it? It's not just
and
this injury affects this angle.
Right. It's exactly, especially with WWE. I mean, AEW, we saw it. I mean, look, the whole Devils storyline with MJF was because of the Adam Cole injury. And they held that off for a year until Adam Cole was able to come back.
And then it didn't make sense.
Yeah. So sometimes, though, and this is a fault of TK is no matter what, he will get back on that trajectory he originally planned.
Yeah.
And that's one of his faults as a booker is he's got to understand that sometimes shit doesn't work out. Injuries happen and you got to pivot, you got to move on.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on Raw that caught your eye for WrestleMania?
Just
No.
Finn and Dominic.
Yeah. And then
And
we'll
we
hopefully
spoke
get
about
some more on
that, and I think, like I said, I think that open challenge is going to be Finn challenging. And I think Dominic's going to cost him the match, and I think that's going to lead to something. Real quick, do you want to see it just be Finn Balor or do you want to see the Demon?
I think if you're going to bring out the Demon, this is the time to do it, just because of how long Judgment Day has been a thing and how long Finn and Dom have kind of built their own story together. I think this is the time to bring out the Demon, because I don't think you're going to get another opportunity like this with Finn in terms of somebody he's so involved with and a culmination of WrestleMania. So, yeah, I'm going to go Demon. I think this will be the last time you can really do it.
If you're going to do the Demon, there needs to be something very violent happen to Finn. There has to be a reason to bring the Demon out.
Yeah.
It has to be
Yeah.
more than just a beatdown. There's got to be something bigger. Do something in the back,
Yeah.
with Dominic and JD. Like, I don't think JD has a match. I think he'll be out there for Dominic during
Yeah, that's
Mania.
fine.
But
And that's fine.
I think he'll be in the Andre Battle Royal on SmackDown. But again, it goes back to that whole conversation. Not everyone has to have a match.
No, exactly. I don't expect JD.
Yeah.
And, if everyone had a match, then it wouldn't be WrestleMania. It wouldn't feel like WrestleMania.
Exactly.
So, all right. I think we're about done.
Yeah.
Brandon, thank you very much for being my guest this week.
Of course. Thank you. And a cheap plug every Sunday on Spaces on Twitter, the DJ and Heel Show. You could find us on Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff.
It's a good show. Check it out. All right, guys. Again, if you do like the content, give us a like and a comment on the video. Let us know what you think of our opinions on Raw, SmackDown, WrestleMania, and Dynamite. And I will see you next week on Zeus Backstage.